outside nations across New York City, carefully planned and orchestrated to take attention away from what happens here, and in many cases to support anybody but Bush. We'll tell you our experiences with the protesters and give you a feel for what it's now like in America's largest city. And you are looking live. Eagle, Colorado. Kobe Bryant and his defense team face to face with prospective jurors who could decide his fate. We're live in Eagle and we'll have detailed analysis plus breaking news as it happens on Studio B right now.
Live from the floor of the 2004 Republican National Convention in New York City, Studio B with Shepard Smith.
And good Monday afternoon to you from Madison Square Garden in the hometown of Fox News Channel, and the pachyderms have come a-calling. Throughout this hour, we'll be telling you lots about all the show here, and we'll also be talking a lot about the specifics of what's making this party tick. They're putting forth two different messages here. I mean, that's a fact. The question is, why are they doing it, and which Republican Party will end up by the time Thursday comes around. I want to give you a look around this particular place right now. It is quite a scene in here. The Knicks might even be able to win a basketball game in here the way this place is laid out. 1,000 lights, 1.5 million feet of cable installed. That's 294 miles of cable, 150 feet of wires. And all of that comes together, they hope, to make a slow and successful and methodical Republican National Convention. They want you to remember compassionate conservatism. The Republicans want you to remember a big tent Republican Party to which all sorts of voices and walks of life are welcome. The question is, does the party platform, which is not that at all, match those speakers? We'll get into all that throughout the hour. First, our White House correspondent Wendell Goler is here at MSG with a look at how things are going. Hey, Wendell.
Hello, Shepard. You can probably count on hearing a lot more about John Kerry's Senate record here in New York than the Democrats did at their convention in Boston. Republicans think that Kerry's Senate votes show him straddling issue after issue, and they plan to exploit that here in New York, though not necessarily tonight. Tonight's an appeal to moderates and independents. Vice President Cheney is likely to raise the issue when he officially accepts the nomination on Wednesday. Cheney was here earlier today as his and the president's names were officially placed into nomination. He'll be here for this evening's speeches and every night. Cheney may be the most important link to the party's conservative base, but tonight's keynote speakers will reach out to moderates and independents. Arizona Senator John McCain and former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani will both praise the president this evening without attacking John Kerry. McCain, of course, was Kerry's first choice as a running mate. He says the Democratic senator would probably make a good president, but he says George W. Bush has been tested and risen to the most important challenge of our time. He told Fox News Channel's John Scott this year's campaign has been entirely too negative.
I think that this campaign is the most bitter and partisan that we've ever seen in American politics, and there have been such excesses of rhetoric that I worry it may turn off voters and depress voter turnout.
Rudy Giuliani says leadership isn't partisan. He drew praise, his leadership of New York, of course, drew praise from Democrats as well as Republicans. His speech will end the festivities tonight, and he will lavish praise on the president, comparing his leadership in the war on terror to Winston Churchill's trying to rally the world against Adolf Hitler long before Germany invaded Poland. Giuliani will also compare the president to former President Ronald Reagan, a comparison that current President Bush feels is even more apt than comparing him to his father. Mr. Bush says his conservative base is much more solid than his father's was. Shepard?
Wendell, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Back now on the floor of the convention hall, and moderation, of course, is the key of this convention. That's the message here. Rudy Giuliani, John McCain, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all set to speak. With us here on the floor is Ed Gillespie, the chairman of the Republican National Committee. Ed, good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thanks for having me on.
What is a party platform? What's it supposed to do?
Party platform lays out the principles that we all come together in agreement on. It reflects the president's policies, and it lays out a vision for the country and moving forward.
The principles that we all come to agreement on, but of course, we're not all in agreement. Giuliani is pro-choice and pro-gay rights. McCain is critical of the deficit in the Iraq War and opposes a ban on gay rights. Pro-choice for Schwarzenegger. How do you reconcile the difference between the platform and the public face that you're putting on this convention?
Well, the fact is the platform also notes that we realize when we're the majority party, as we are in the country today, we have the governorships of New York, California, Texas, Florida. We have a majority in the House, majority in the Senate, a majority of governorships. That not every Republican is going to agree with every element in the platform. We understand that. Any party that's big enough to be the majority party is big enough to accommodate differences, and that's why we have speakers like the ones you mentioned, as well as Senator Elizabeth Dole and Lieutenant Governor Michael Steele and Senator Sam Brownback, Senator Rick Santorum. Senator Zell Miller, Democrat, conservative, is going to be
sort of Democrat
keynote speaker. No, he's a Democrat. He was the keynote speaker in 1992 at the convention here for Bill Clinton.
Sure.
So it reflects, our speakers reflect the breadth of our party and the fact that we are the majority party in America today.
The people who question that are not the base on at all. They're the people in the middle, and a lot of the email I've gotten is saying, what are they going to be, though, when they get into office again? Will they have a litmus test for judges like the party platform promises, or will they not, as some of these speakers would
let's
say?
Be clear. What the party platform says is that we're going to have judges. We support judges who enforce the Constitution, don't interpret it and make laws from the bench. That's common sense. And so when you hear Governor Schwarzenegger, he's someone who's trying to foster economic growth in California, as the president is fostering economic growth across the country. When you hear Mayor Giuliani, he's going to be talking about, obviously, the need to win the war on terror. Who understands better the need to win the war on terror than Mayor Giuliani? Senator McCain, obviously, is someone who is an expert in the United States Senate on defense policy, going to talk about the need for strong national security. These are the things that bring us together. You know, Ronald Reagan said, anybody who agrees with me 80% of the time is my friend. And we have a lot of friends, and we're featuring them on our platform. We're proud of it.
What do you think is the deal with all the protests? Are most of these people just party activists on the other side, or are they trying to detract attention from here, or what is it?
Well, they're trying to get their message out, and they're free to. I mean, one of the things we cherish inside this hall and outside this hall is our First Amendment right to free speech. And so we have an ad in the papers here, full-page ad in the papers here in New York today, telling our delegates and convention friends to recognize and respect that those who seek to elect Senator Kerry are free to express themselves in the streets in the same way that those of us who are seeking to re-elect President Bush are free to express ourselves here in the hall. And we welcome that discussion.
Ed, part of the idea behind coming to New York, of course, was to bring back a memory of a president as a leader. And if you look back over the series of unscripted events and how they've played out, George W. Bush on top of a fire truck, 2 days, 3 days after 9/11, I can't hear you, but the world will hear you, and they'll all hear you soon. That's got to go down as one of the greatest unscripted moments of his presidency. Is it that you're trying to bring back? Is it that memory that you want here?
Well, no. I mean, the fact is, September 11 obviously is a very important event in the life of our nation. And as the Democrats did in Boston, they talked about the impact it has going forward in terms of national security and the war on terror, homeland security. You know, to have a convention to talk about the policies of the future and a presidential contest for this November without talking about the impact of September 11 and what it has in terms of an impact on your view of the world and the war on terror. It would be like having a convention in 1864, an election in 1864, not talking about the Civil War. And so, of course, we will talk about the policies needed to approach the war on terror and homeland security and national security in the world after September 11, as the Democrats did in the Fleet Center.
Ed Gillespie, the party chairman. Ed, good to see you.
Thank you, Shepard. Appreciate
Enjoy
it.
the week.
I will.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right. You're not going to believe who's over here to the right. Can you get a shot right over there? Can you get a shot over there? That's Bo Derek. How are you, Bo?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you. I went in '96.
Yes.
And then in 2000.
Yes.
And every time I see you, why you work so hard for these folks?
I don't, actually. I'm here for a fundraiser for the Susan Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. And then I just came from this wonderful event where they raised over $1 million for Special Operations Warrior Foundation, and it's to provide college scholarships for the children of the fallen special operations soldiers. So that's something that's really close to my heart. I am actually an honorary Green Beret, the 5th ever in 50 years.
Wow.
So I'm very dedicated to our soldiers, our veterans. I chair special rehabilitation events for our disabled veterans.
And you spoke 4 years ago at the RNC, if I remember, didn't you?
I did. Well, that was very personal. I was introducing my assemblyman from California, where I live in the Central Coast, and he's a great, wonderful public servant, and I got to introduce him in Spanish.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
And it was personal to me because where I live, I have a ranch, and it's very agriculture and ranching and livestock, so I live in a very Hispanic community.
in the last 4 years, I can't think of a 4-year period where our country's changed as much as it has over the last 4 years, maybe. Are you still as politically active as you were prior to 9/11? And what about this administration is it that you believe is best to serve us as opposed to the other in the going forward here?
I'm not really that politically active. People think I am. I was a lucky American. I come from Southern California, where we don't live in America. So when I first joined the Don't Camp campaign and went on the bus, you know, from small town to small town, it was a wonderful experience for me to see. I really got to learn the country we live in and appreciate our freedoms and our opportunities. That's personal. As far as our president, I really believe in what he's doing. I know it's hard. It breaks my heart when I hear about the casualties every day, but I do think in the long run this is the only way to stop this cycle of hatred. I don't believe we can keep throwing money at those countries. We always have supported those countries. I can't believe Al-Qaeda targets us when honestly I believe that if it weren't for America, it would be part of the Soviet Union right now.
Bo, it's good to see you.
It's my
You're
pleasure.
going to make some of the parties. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, there's lots coming up in this hour on Studio B. Rick Leventhal is going to join me in just a minute to tell you about some of the protests that have been going on and the way that they've been orchestrated around town. If you've ever been to New York, we'll lay out exactly what a crazy scene it's been from party to party and from event to event and throughout the streets of New York. In addition, we'll check in with our other White House correspondents to give you an idea of how this thing's going to play out tonight and speak with another big party player that's still to come on Studio B at the RNC in MSG from FNC.